Hello there, and welcome to Sync Music Matters, a podcast that explores the beautiful relationship between music and the moving image. My name is Jim Hustvedt, and I'm your host on this journey, as each week I seek to understand the people and the process behind the best music in TV, film and games. I'm talking to composers, but I'm also talking to editors, music supervisors, directors, and anyone else who's involved with the synchronous process of pairing audio and visuals. Emmy Award-nominated Ruth Barrett is a composer whose music spans feature films and high-end TV drama. Ruth's scores blend rich emotion with bold sonic experimentation, fusing lyrical themes and classical influences with modern textures and sound design. Some film credits include The Old Guard 2, City of Tiny Lights and Harry Brown, whilst TV series credits include Amazon's The Girlfriend and The Terminal List, Dark Wolf. Ruth, thanks very much for joining me.
Oh, pleasure. It's great to chat today.
Yeah, pleasure. So if you could cast your mind back, Ruth, to a young Ruth growing up on the mean streets of West Ewell, if someone had asked you back then, what would you like to be when you grow up, what would you have replied?
I think I wanted to be a brain surgeon.
Oh, just a brain surgeon.
So, it's kind of like brain surgery through music.
Messing with brain matter.
You're messing with people's brains and messing with their emotions without having to do all of that extra studying, and have all of that responsibility of killing people, potentially, obviously saving them. I mean, maybe musically you'd be saving them from, I don't know, misery or something.
As far as you know, you haven't killed anyone through music.
So far, not that I know of. Wouldn't that be something though, if music had the power to push someone over the edge? I mean, it kind of does have a real power about it, and I think that's why I love it, and that's why I've always been attracted to it.
The dream and the musical dream begin.
I think they were running alongside, perhaps, played music from quite early, I guess. My mum started teaching me piano when I was about 4, and there was a lot of tantrums because I don't know. My mum used to play really well, and then I would just try and do it too. And then I think as a parent, it's hard to teach your own kid, isn't it? So I got piano lessons from an early age, which was a really strict but brilliant teacher. And then I just sort of liked music a lot. I remember being kind of glued to certain programs and I liked listening to records and things like that. I remember liking music quite an early age. By the time I got to about 15, say, where I'd sort of got to the end of the, you do all your grades and everything, and I knew that wasn't really for me, and my mum found a new teacher who was sort of all about jazz and improvisation. And that really opened everything up for me and kind of got me thinking about how to write music. And this amazing guy who I'm still really good friends with called Nigel Crouch. And we started writing music. Well, it started with jazz, and then I realised I wasn't really that into jazz. And then it just became let's just write a piece of music in the moment and just respond to maybe a bit of text or word or something. And then we used to he had 2 pianos, and we'd sit back to back and just riff off. Sometimes we'd take a piece of music like a piece of Stravinsky or something, and just take a few bars of it and just mess around with those 4 bars, almost like it was a jazz improvisation or something. And I really loved that. And I kind of sparked a bit of imagination in terms of capturing a mood.
So were you recording these improvisations?
We did record a few, yeah, and we did a concert of some of the stuff we did with Rite of Spring. It was part of a concert. I have got that recording, and it's cool to listen back to that and think, wow, I actually could play the piano back then. I was all right. And I did have composition lessons at the Royal Academy as a junior, and I loved it there as well, because there were musicians there who would play your pieces at the end of the day. So once or twice a term you would have this, you'd hear them come to life and be piano and oboe. It wasn't like a symphony or anything like that, but it was just fun. And those early days, I suppose, between sort of 15 and to 18, I was just like, yeah, I really love this. And then, yeah, maybe I should do music after, go on and do it for a degree or whatever, which was, the next stage.
And so you studied music at Cambridge, did you?
I did, yeah. Which was kind of like a double-edged sword.
In what way?
I guess because it was a lot more academic, because I think as a composer or whatever, I come from more of an instinctive place. And that's not, although I appreciated learning some of the techniques like counterpoint and all of that, maybe it does come in useful and it's a good thing to get your head around. Ultimately, like what we do is kind of try and get the vibe of something, isn't it? It can come from anywhere, and it's almost like exposure to like lots of films and music and stuff that kind of sparks your imagination rather than the rigor of it all.
And obviously that going to studying music and that highly academic approach didn't do anything to tarnish your enjoyment of music, because I do know quite a few people who the rigorous academic approach has sort of sucked their love of music away and they ended up not continuing. But obviously there was something in there because you kept going.
I met somebody there who was like, look, you should meet this guy that runs a music production company and just go see them. And I took a cassette along to see him after college. And he was like, okay, yeah, I quite like this. Do you want to do some music for this advert that we've got in? And so it did open up a doorway, and I started, doing music for ads. And I was doing lots of things in my early 20s to make a buck, waitressing and temping and all sorts. And I was kind of like, I didn't really have any contacts in the industry. So like, no magical parents. Well, my parents were magical.
But not in a musical connection sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like you meet people. I got a job at ITV for a bit and I was working in the schedules department, booking cameras and sound. And that's where I met my husband, Ruskin. He was a trainee sound engineer there. And we started making music together because he's brilliant at synths and electronic stuff. And he'd already had a lot of his own, he'd already written a lot of his own stuff. And he'd kind of moved into doing, like a dubbing mixing. Again, we got to get a day job, right? Until you hit the big time. But it was a fun place to work,
So I'm quite interested in the collaborative angle because I had a couple of duos on the podcast. I had Tim Morris and Jessica Jones, who are Vanber, and they're I don't know whether they're married, but they're certainly partners. And then there was also Aaron May and David Ridley, who did Adolescence. And in fact, David, he said that he thought that collaboration was, when it comes to music, as a superpower. Because I think generally composers do tend to work in isolation. But I'm interested in how did working with Ruskin change your creative approach? And was that challenging with you being in a relationship as well? Or
Well, we weren't at first, I remember thinking I better not get in a relationship because I was so focused on like really wanting to do, music for stuff. And I just saw so much talent in him and also skills that would fit really well with what I was doing and his technical prowess and stuff. I was like, okay, yeah, just don't, quite fancy him, but no.
But you did.
That didn't last that long, yeah. No. And we've been together for 20 odd years, so it's obviously working out. And I think for a lot of our relationship, we were in separate rooms, which is probably why it's lasted so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we're both obsessed and in different ways. But I think it is quite a lonely profession, I think. And especially even if you're with somebody, obviously have a family and everything, but if you are with someone who doesn't necessarily part, not part of it, then I think, because it can be really, long late hours and antisocial and really sort of sometimes emotionally up and down. I mean, it's extremely turbulent, it pushes you to all kinds of feelings and questions of yourself, that I think, like, being with Ruskin is brilliant because he's like a rock, he doesn't admit it anyway. He's not like me in that he's very sort of stable, and he likes to sort of be in the background almost, in the engine room, he puts it. So I think collaboration is fantastic. Like, working with Ruskin, I found, we could do different styles and that kind of thing. I mean, I think you still have to know where you are as an artist, and a lot of the stuff I've done as me, and sometimes we work together, and I think it depends on what you're doing. And I think it can really, like, I work with musicians and I work with other artists, like additional writers or co-writers, and I find that really thrilling, actually, because it's, you're bringing their ideas to the table, you're sharing the pain of it. And sometimes, I just think that I haven't got all of the stuff in my head. I feel like sometimes I might be like, a master of ceremonies, or, I have an overview of everything, especially like doing a show like Law and Order or something, where I've created a lot of the original themes for it, but I need other sources and other strands, and then I can kind of like have this sort of map of it. And it's a real joy, actually, to work with people in that way. Do you collaborate like that?
I try to increasingly, because I just always think that, as you say, people bring ideas to the table that you might not have otherwise had, and that generally only sort of makes things better. And also, I was listening to an interview with Phineas of Billie Eilish recently, and he said something similar. He said, if I do everything myself, I get into sort of patterns of doing things, whereas actually doing stuff with other people, it breaks those patterns and gets me out of that, and so therefore hopefully the end product is better than it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, and it's this thing of the composition or the piece, the film becomes something of its own, which you then serve. It's not like, it's my composition, it's what's best for the thing, and sometimes working with people and pushing them, and then they come up with something they didn't really know they were going to do. I love that as well. Or musicians, and you're like, what about that sound? What about if you just scrape that a bit more? And then you surprise yourself, and they surprise themselves, and that is fun. And so a lot of the time it is, you get results from that kind of messing around.
So just rewind. So you've come out of uni, you've gone working for doing TV ads and doing some production music. What was your first TV score, and how did that come about?
Yeah, like there was a South Bank show that I did, and I got it because I did this play called Hunting the Snark in the Oxo Tower, and it was like a promenade. It was really cool. I'd really love to do something like this again, where you walk around into a forest and you kind of get a bit lost in the forest, and the music changes and sounds and things change as you go through the forest. And I recorded it with Oivavoy, this amazing band who were big at the time. And I just asked them if they'd do it for like very little money. And they recorded it in a session. And so it sounded really good. I just couldn't stress enough how important it is to get your stuff played by musicians. Some of those early demos make such a difference. And
what sort of band are Oivavoy?
It's like a klezmer band.
That was my first thought, was because it's like clarinets and
kind
klezmer.
Of modern klezmer. Yeah. Katie Tunstall was part of it at the time, before she became humongously epic. Yeah, and violin, trumpet, guitars, drums, and because it was like they were traveling through this. It was like an adventure. The klezmer vibe seemed to fit it nicely anyway. And I did a load of weird sound design to go with it, and sent it to I had it on CD, and I gave that to the director of this South Bank show, Dan Wiles, he was called. He came into, because I was used to work in the reception of post-production sound, so he was like, oh, hello, you know. He was like, charming guy. And yeah, we got chatting, and anyway, eventually I got the CD to him, and he actually really liked it. So he's thought, I'll give you a shot on this. I think it was about Bill Bryson. I think that was one of the first ones I did.
In the Wild or something?
It was a South Bank show about him.
Yeah.
You know, the Melvin Bragg? Yeah. Yeah. Can't remember what what happened now. But I remember making some atmospheric music for it, you know. And in the evening, because in the daytime I was working there, you know. So a lot of these jobs were done in the evenings and the weekends and things, until I was working at a recording studio called Strong Room, and met this composer. So one of the people I got in was a composer called Martin Phipps to mix one of his scores there. He's brilliant. And then he said, do you want to come and see one of my sessions? So I went to see it. It was North and South, I think. And just remember feeling completely blown away by the music and the visuals, and just thinking, oh yeah, this is good, isn't it, you know. And so that's, I guess, what kind of like led to doing work in drama. Started writing stuff for Martin. He's yeah, you know, I've got a few scenes here, haven't got time to do, or do you want to have a go at this? So that's how it started.
Can you remember some of the key things that you learned? Because I was chatting to Andrew Lockington recently, and he talked about I think it was just the first session he did, but he learnt so much from it. Can you remember those initial days working with Martin? What there's some of the things that you sort of like, well, oh wow, I didn't know that, and things that have maybe continued to serve you ever since? Yeah,
I mean, it was like working on the Virgin Queen was really amazing, and just some of the things he was pushing for, like Bulgarian choir, and that was so cool. It was so atmospheric. And working with Paul Clavis, the percussionist, for the first time on that show, and he was a bit worried about it because there's this guy who works with Hans Zimmer, and I'm going to get him in and see what he does. And then he's like, he's done this thing, and I don't know what time signature it's in. Jesus, I don't know if this is going to work. It's either genius or it's total crap. And it's, well, not crap, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
It was genius. Like, I just remember those early days being really excited by like the possibilities of what you could do, and that kind of the edge of it all. Like, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And the other thing I was like thinking about, it's like just being in the room with some of the meetings, you know, before you get to be doing your own job, it's really good to work with someone before, you know, not be in the hot seat. So you've got to have nerves of steel, you know, and a lot of belief in what you're doing. So,
which it can be quite hard, as you say, you know, if you've got experienced musicians in that initial telling them what to do because you've got this vision and you want it to be done a certain way, but it's quite hard to have that conversation, and particularly, you know, when someone like Paul Clavis comes in, he's such a lovely guy and such an immense talent as well. But yeah, it's quite difficult initially to sort of go, oh, okay, how do I tell them to play quieter?
You don't.
First violin. Can you just play it just maybe a little quieter? Well, that's probably a nice little segue to go under the skin. Under the skin. Of a recent project and chat about The Girlfriend. So tell us a bit about how did this come about? Was it a pitch? And then what was your approach? Was you, in terms of, did you have a script? Did you have a first episode to score? What was the process?
Weirdly, it wasn't a pitch, actually.
Wow. You were requested. I
sent some tracks in. I think I was asked for some psychological tracks. Psychological thriller, which, you know, is only a part of the show, but I think it was quite a big part of where it ends up. And I think they liked that. And then I actually got the job. And then met them. Or talked to them on the phone. I spoke to Robin Wright for the first time on the phone, which was really, was a bit starstruck at first. But she's absolutely lovely. She is so great to work with and down to earth and just brilliant.
Did she direct and exec produce?
She had directed the first 3 episodes. So she really formed what it was going to be. And all these, it really started we getting together and watching the first, this first 3 episodes were kind of open, and everything was all open at the time. And they were also trying to work out what they were going to do, how they were going to edit it together, and what kind of music it was going to be. So there was a lot of things, and I was thinking about the plot generally and wondering about it, because it's about a mother and a mother and her son, and the son's girlfriend, and the mother's a bit too close to the son, loves him a little bit too much, and the girlfriend, she's quite controlling, and I felt like it was a bit of an Oedipal sort of story, which they agreed with, but it was also like quite a playful, bit comedy as well. It's a lot of things. They didn't want it to be too serious. So some of the early sketches I did probably a bit too serious, because I was trying to sort of play for let's get a kind of Greek tragedy in there, let's be clever, but like I guess when you start a job, you're looking for something that's going to represent the whole story, that could kind of carry it through the whole thing and then be repeated in different ways. And that skeleton of it, I think, remained, but it had to be disguised with a new sound that was more dialed into the characters. So we were like, let's find something more specific for Laura, the mother, Robin Wright, and then let's find a sound world for Cherry that's completely different. And Matt Biffer, the music supervisor, I think he had a big part of me getting the job. I've worked with him before on Harry Brown with Martin Phipps, and we hadn't worked together in many years, so that was really fun. And he had that idea of let's find a complete different palette, which is quite fun.
How would you describe those sound palettes, the distinctive sound palettes for Cherry and Laura? With Laura, we was like, Robin really wanted vocals, so I think with both characters we wanted to use vocals. So, but it was finding a different way to use them. So Laura's was more like breathy, chanty, and kind of, I don't know, a bit shaman-like or something. And Cherry's are more like poppy and like processed and glitchy and things. And we had quite fun doing some processing on that and affecting, like it almost sounds like her laughing or something, some of the effects. So that when you're in Laura's world, it's kind of more an organic sort of soundscape. I was thinking about 60s, 70s music, a bit organ and guitars and that kind of sound. And then Cherry's is more electronic synths. But like I'm using cello and I'm using vocals and, similar instruments, but just used in different ways, I guess. Yeah. I guess it helps you sort of identify with them, and then you kind of like, oh, that's a Laura sound and that's a Cherry sound. So you're in Laura's world and then you hear a bit of Cherry come in, like that. It's like a glitchy voice. And you're like, yeah, Cherry's bugging the shit out of her. Yeah. Well, it's an incredible score, and there's such a beautiful blend of there's loads of synth work. There's quite a lot of sound design, as you say. You've been messing with sounds and rhythmically things sort of competing with each other. There's sometimes almost slightly schizophrenic, and it's almost this duality between the characters and whatever's happening. But are there any particular sounds that you can remember falling upon or twisting and changing in a particular way that you were sort of like, oh, hey, what's this? Like, this sounds great. And what were they? How did you do them? If you can spill the secrets.
Oh, spill the secrets. Like the shaman drum was cool for Laura. Like that as a sound is like, it has a kind of powerful spiritual sort of sound.
It's very dry as well in the mix as well, which is nice because it feels like it's there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, Ruskin mixed it. So he has a part in, the way things sound and the processing and the sound of the vocals as well. Like getting some of the things really dry and some of them wet, I like that kind of idea. I like what you said about the rhythmic thing. Nick Holland, my cellist, we were experimenting, trying to get like a nervous, cherry offbeat rhythm. So you're like, let's play it on the beat and then let's shift it off the beat. So it's kind of because Cherry's music has got this kind of swagger to it. I worked with Danny Soul, he's brilliant at electronic stuff. He's a bit of a wizard in that department. So, he gave me some good, synth stuff for that. I love getting banks of things from people and then manipulating them and chopping them up and mixing them with other things to kind of create. It's like a little smorgasbord. I mean, I did many sessions with Nick. He's always comes over and trying things. And others, like with Danny, we wouldn't be in the same room, or Nico, another guy, or even Dom, who did some brilliant guitars and other work on it. And he was doing some really nuts stuff on Dom was playing with the vibrator at one point and sending some really wild stuff and quite a few tracks. And then I will go through and pick the certain bits that fit, and that can be a lot of time, so it's a mixture of, but I think once you kind of discovering like, oh yeah, maybe Laura's an electric guitar, like she starts off, she could be more acoustic, and actually as she gets more deranged, then the guitar can get more deranged, and then go through feedback and some wild effects, and it's a cool sound. It's like visceral and makes you feel unsettled. And I don't know, I'm always all for that, about experimenting with musicians and artists and then seeing what they come up with. Like you go, yeah, she's really going freaking nuts here. Like go completely over and then take that and then chop that up. Like in that final episode, it's got bits of wacky guitar, it's got drums going hell for leather, it's got vocals going like Anna she's amazing. She does a Bulgarian kind of vocal throat singing, and she's very experimental. And again, we do a mixture of working together and working she works from her studio as well and just sends me stuff. And then there's a freedom in that of creativity, and then not being afraid to just go a bit silly, because sometimes you go a bit silly and that's just the sort of thing that you want. Like she was doing just funny screams and shouts and yelps and spitting and all sorts, and we sampled everything in. So I had a whole palette of her across the keyboard. So I could do a mixture of playing in some stuff, and then she could react to that. I sort of used that as a technique with a lot of the sounds that all the players like Nick and John and everyone did, and then creating samples of it. And then interacting between the two.
Okay, so they'd react live to something they'd previously recorded and you had sampled and set up on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. I love that. What a great way to get them almost reacting to themselves, and they don't quite know what's coming. It's like, oh, there's something, and call and response.
Yeah, and it's a sort of different way of playing. Like, yeah, they might not have played it like that because you might have put it really in time or repeated it quite quickly. I like taking something and speeding it up, you know, so it's ridiculously unplayable. I did that like with recorders on the Decameron, so it was like, you know, and or looping it, so it has an effect, but you couldn't play it live, but it was played live. Or stretching things or pitching things. I'm really into taking a sound and then like messing with it until it becomes something. You know, it might have had an origin. I know, you know, in Dark Wolf, that other show that I'm working on, you know, taking this Middle Eastern sort of wind instrument and then just sort of pitching it right down. It actually just sounds like a kind of meh shepherd's call. And then, but if you make it really deep, it still has a calling sound, but it's low and it almost sounds like a synth, but it's not a synth because it's still got that calling feeling. Because I was looking for something that was kind of like a call from the wild, you know. So you're like, I was trying to get something that represents a feeling. So you're trying to go a bit deeper with it, I suppose.
And so Terminal List Dark Wolf, the sequel to Terminal List. Did you?
It was a prequel, actually.
Oh, it was a prequel, wasn't it? Yes, because without giving any spoilers away, what happens in Terminal List, we know what happens to him in Terminal List, don't we?
And he was so good, they had to go back in time.
Yeah, to go back to explore his character.
Yeah.
Was that because it sounds like with The Girlfriend, this is a hugely collaborative process with loads of people bringing some incredibly quirky textures to the table. Was Terminal List as collaborative?
Maybe not as much as The Girlfriend was, but it always, every job that I do is collaborative. But, more input from Ruskin, who was doing a lot of, he was writing some of the tracks too, and doing a lot of there's quite a lot of modular synths in it. It's more of a synth-driven score. I love modular synths because I haven't got a freaking clue how to do it, and he does. Like, stay in there. Like when the first season, there's the brain tumor. Chris Pratt has a brain tumor, and I was like, I know. When I had the first meeting with the producers, and they were talking about some really strange instrument that was like rare and cost so much to record, and I was like, this is going to be so much better with modular synth sound that Ruskin could do. And then, it just really. It is the sound of a brain tumour. See, the brain surgery thing comes back in again.
Ooh, hey.
See?
Yeah, it all comes back, doesn't it? All circles around from brains. You are still operating on brains, but just from a very musical perspective.
Yeah, but it really worked in terms of that. You feel the tumour has its own identity. You know, it's like it's got its sonic... It is a sound. You kind of like, you feel its like presence there. And I love that synth... just that, well, I say it's a synth. It's very, you know what it is. It's like you can choose all your own modules and then you can feed them into each other. And I mean, it's a crazy world, but he understands how to do that. So I love using that. And again, you know, working together and chopping things up and electric cello put through effects. He's just discovered how to put his guitar through the modular synth and back again. So like this could be a new sound for Terminal 2. Then, because it's all like how you take a palette from season 1 and then, you know, take it forward to season 2, use some of the same sounds, but then develop them. So if you use an acoustic guitar, then now it's maybe a bowed guitar. Or this new instrument that Nick's just found, which is he's actually had made, which is somewhere between a guitar and a cello.
And that's an interesting point actually as well, because obviously you've done Law and Order, so there's been quite a lot of series of that. And if Terminal Listed, there's a prequel and then there's a sequel. How presumably you're retaining some of the character themes, but you're developing them. And how do you go about building on that whilst also staying true to what's come before?
Well, with the prequel, you couldn't do anything.
I suppose no, because it's
Dave was like,
predated.
No, I don't want to hear of season 1. No. And it's because it's about Ben Edwards. Reese's character's not in it that much, so it's a whole different ball game and had to be really start from scratch, but find a sound world that kind of related to that, I guess. So it's more of a cinematic, it's more orchestral, it's more soulful, maybe less psychological, but still has a lot of those kind of gnarly synths and the kind of driving percussion and all the things you want out of the franchise, with a sort of slightly different and maybe slightly more European for the spy stuff, sort of using hints of flavours without being, otherwise you get told off for using like dulcimer or something. And
okay. So you're hinting at the use of, so rather than taking it into that world, there's just a subtle flavour of it.
Yeah, a subtle flavour of sultry or something in there, just to give it a hint of, or like something Bavarian, or we were using like male voices, kind of like weighty. I like something that could represent like the place that they're in, but also the state of mind that they're in. Like in the middle of Dark Wolf, Rafe Hastings has just killed someone and he really feels like he shouldn't have done it, and he's wrestling with himself. So the voice is kind of like it feels like his angst or something, and it's like got a bit of a religious undertone to it. I love it. I love choral music, and I love what voices can bring generally.
Well, it's funny, Bulgarian choir. I interviewed Ollie Julian a couple of weeks ago, and he's been using Bulgarian choir on the twits. So it's
oh, brilliant.
But there's some amazing videos on YouTube of Bulgarian choirs, and it's such an incredible sound. The harmonies and what they do.
I love the harmonies. They're super strange.
And it sounds as well like there's very much, with every project, you're looking for kind of a unique sonic palette to sort of, I suppose, evoke the characters, evoke the emotions. What would you say for Terminal List Dark Wolf? What would you say, how would you describe the sonic palette for that?
It's kind of like a bit wild and, a bit animal kind of thing. So like we're trying to find that sort of lone wolf sound. It's kind of got a bit of CS80 low down. It's got this Zurna kind of Middle Eastern sounding instrument that's been pitched down. That's kind of whoop sound. It's got a bit of the synths, cello, and Dom had this. Dom James, another brilliant guy that works with us and writes and plays this low boy guitar. So it's kind of like a low strung, really low guitar that it's got that kind of hunter feel to it, because the Dark Wolf is, if you feed the Dark Wolf, he kind of goes into a dark place. Which wolf are you going to feed, the Dark Wolf or the Light Wolf? Because he has both. And as a score, we were representing his Light Wolf, which is quite emotional sort of music, and we use the violin quite a bit, but playing in kind of an intimate way. And then when he hits the Dark Wolf, which is the hunting side that's activated, and then it just takes over. So he will be doing things with the best intentions, but probably without thinking about the consequences. So use the violin, but like bending really slowly.
But I love as well, did you mention a Zuna?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love the way, are you sort of thinking, okay, there's that instrument, and if I pitch that down, it's going to sound great? Or are you thinking, well, there's that instrument, and we'll do a session and we'll record it, and then we'll mess around with it and see what happens? How premeditated is it, or how much is it a case of, hey, let's just find something crazy and out there and see what happens?
Well, Sandro worked with before, and I know he always comes up with good stuff. So I will sometimes just say, can you just play some stuff? And actually, I was feeling like it wasn't gelling, this particular instrument. And then I was like, let's just try. Well, there was one tiny phrase, like, let's just chop that up and pitch that down quite a bit and like really distort the fuck out of it. And then I thought, oh yeah, that's good. But I think I figured that out on Bodyguard, like, of trying to combine something organic and with synth. So like, or making things sound like it's a synth. So like a trombone note that's been stretched and stretched, or just getting that kind of slow riser feeling from an instrument that's got that gliding sound, but really stretching it out, has always sort of fascinated me.
Funny, because I was working on this, and this was a track for an artist, but she'd had someone record some flutes, not flutes, sort of recorders or ethnic flutes, and it in the mix within the track, it sounded a bit too much like spa music. It sounded a bit too chill. And then, but all of a sudden, pitch it down and start getting some strange harmonics out of it, and it comes to life, and it takes on this. It almost becomes this sort of living, breathing element of the track, which is very distinct from the original recording. But also, it retains, as you were saying, because it is a real instrument and it's organic. There's still something living within it, rather than it just been a synth patch. You sort of marry those two worlds in a lovely way.
Yeah, exactly. It has a breath. That's what I liked about this Zuna thing, Zuna, whatever it's called, is the breath in it. Whoa, whoa.
Yeah, which is from a wind instrument.
I've always liked the Iwi for that, because it's like a synth, but it's a wind, a wind controller. And I like the CS80, or I've got a 4-voice, because you can manipulate the oscillators. Manipulate the oscillators. It's easy to do. I mean, I don't know how to use the CS80 very well, to be honest. It's a bit of a beast, but it's got a really nice glide function on there, which you can play with. And just, again, the oscillating things, or just bending the pitches a bit of things. Oh, that really, I think you can make some amazing drones and unsettling feelings that way. It really works, actually, especially for sort of like things are eerie or spooky. I would love to do more stuff in that zone of disturbing sounds, and because I think we've done a lot of action, which is really fun, and psychological stuff, and I'd love to go even further into that disturbing world of horror.
Well, hey, that might be your route into actually killing someone with music then, because if it's really eerie and scary, and it could actually scare someone to death.
As long as we could bring them back to life again.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Then that's okay.
Yeah.
Got defib at the ready.
Yeah. What a warning you must watch with defibrillator.
Oh, that was a good film from the 90s, Flatliners. Do you remember that?
I do remember Kiefer Sutherland.
That was a great Kiefer Sutherland classic.
Well, I tell you what, that's a perfect little segue to go getting a taste. Getting a taste. And yeah, I'm just really interested in the formative years when people are growing
in
up
West Ewell.
In West Ewell, and what, I mean, you mentioned Flash Gordon earlier. That was obviously a bit of a milestone in your life in terms of your favourite film, and presumably the Queen's soundtrack was part and parcel of that.
Yeah, I loved that so much.
Yeah, what was it you loved about it?
It was just banging. It's just like in your face.
Yeah.
Beat, just not. It's just not like a normal score, is it? It's just like dun 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 dun. But it's kind of got a bit of Rite of Spring in it when I sing it like that. I think, it's got a bit of Stravinsky in the Rite of Spring. That relentless rhythm to it. That's just, I love beat, like that kind of propulsive beat feeling, and then just like, interspersions of sudden shifts. It's fun and dangerous at the same time. I think I was about 5 or 6 when I was given the album for that.
Was that one of your the earliest memories of seeing a film and listening to a soundtrack that blew your mind?
Yeah, I think it's the first album I got that I was really happy about getting and listened to a lot. And then I also really like The Incredible Hulk. Watching that, I remember being really young watching that and feeling really crying about
the TV
that.
Series, or
the TV series, David Banner. Yeah, that really got me. The sad, lonely man. I was crying. I remember crying as a kid because of that. The combination.
Did it have like a really nice
piano
theme tune? Is it piano? Yeah. Okay.
Really sort of mournful piano theme tune. I think that really got me. That, like the Thornbirds had a really good piano theme tune. I remember that really used to get to me. That was another classic 80s show. Mike Post's music probably influenced me without knowing him at the time. You know, I now know him through doing Law and Order. But, I mean, he cranked out some classic scores back then.
18.
Yeah, that's so good. And Law and Order's been around, God, 30-odd years, you know. I mean, I'm only 32, so...
So, well, you don't look a day over 29. So how was that then, sort of stepping into Mike Post's shoes? Because obviously this is a guy who's been huge throughout the 80s, and then you're kind of stepping into follow in his footsteps. Was that kind of...
sort of treading on his turf? It's like gangster rights. I was given a blessing to allowed onto this portion of the show of a spin-off. You know, it's a spin-off of Law and Order.
Yeah. But was that scary, sort of? Was there extra pressure doing it?
Yeah, I felt a bit scared. But there wasn't time to be scared, actually, because I was on air in 5 weeks after getting the job. So, you know, get on with it. I actually didn't speak to Mike until after it was on air, so he wasn't sort of breathing down it. You know, he's an absolutely lovely guy, amazing guy, actually, who I've now got to know. Yeah, no, he was like, I feel like we're coming from the same place. You know, it sounds like it gels with what I'm doing on the other shows. And he was welcoming. I think at first he was like, yeah, who's this chick?
Who's this British upstart?
Yeah. But yeah, I was influenced by, that. And I don't know, I used to like, I think I probably watched, I mean, all of the obviously all the John Williams stuff has gone into the consciousness. I think I used to love watching adverts as a kid. I loved, there were some really good ones with like good tunes and Martini, Flake, and you know,
Milky Way.
Really good theme tunes. Yeah, Milky Way.
Red car and the blue car.
I like the kind of exoticness of some of the melodies. I don't know if it's like come into my work, but it was stuff that I used to feel something for when I watched it and liked or wanted to play on the piano or something, you know. What
sort of music did you... Obviously, you were listening to the Flash Gordon soundtrack, but what other, sort of over the years, what was it of rock?
Duran I used to love. Adamant, Prince was a big when I was growing up. And all the other, there's like 80s music. I think I wasn't so into Britpop and that kind of thing. Probably like dance, you know, the clubbing days. Remember like drum and bass when it first came out. I was like, man, there's some good beats in there and bass lines and stuff, you know. And then all the classical side I like as well, you know. Philip Glass is somebody I really like. Satyagraha is a beautiful opera. I would borrow some of that if I was going to do something. It's very mesmeric and very beautiful.
And just pick up on something as well that you mentioned at the beginning about when you, in those early days of improvising, you'd sometimes even just find a word. So you're the second person I've ever heard talk about literally using a single word or something for inspiration. The other one was Isabel Waller-Bridge. Do you still do that now, that if you're kind of looking for inspiration for something, turn to something completely removed from music?
I don't know. Sometimes you've got to walk away, haven't you? Step away from the machine.
Step away from the visuals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Step away from the visuals, because sometimes the visuals are, you can get a bit trapped in them. You're trying to figure it out. Or sometimes like watching it. Sometimes I have it on in the background, and then just be noodling around over here and see if anything's, you know, coming. If it's not coming, because sometimes it isn't, and you're trying to find something that's something about the character, and then you stumble across a scene, and that, for me, it's like it's a scene that's just jumps out as being particular to me, you know, not being told to score a scene, but it's like the first something you think, oh yeah, like whatever it is, it could be a naughty scene or a really sad one, and then just do something. Freeform, and sometimes that sticks. Sometimes, you know, those early ideas will kind of like, you're trying to boil a character down and like, what is he really about? Like,
Unfortunately, due to a slight technical error, we are unable to bring you the rest of that thought from Ruth. However, we can skip straight to the deep part of the interview, the quickfire questions. Okay, so yeah, quickfire questions. What's your favourite biscuit?
I was thinking about wafers, actually.
Interesting. Go on.
And I thought, because I don't really like biscuits that much. The communion wafer.
Oh, but they don't taste of anything, do they?
I know, but that's what's so good. No calories, and you feel really holy.
Yeah. What about the those pink wafer fingers?
Those pink wafer fingers, you know, they're pretty good.
They're pretty good. Weirdly, there's something that died when you stop going to kids' parties. You don't ever see them, but for some reason, when you go to kids' parties,
yeah. What's the name of those pink wafer biscuits?
I'm not sure.
But those, you know, if you wanted a bit more sugar, those. But if you just want that cheeky little wafer from the priest,
you just pop into the local church.
I don't go anymore, but I was a Catholic when I was a kid, and I did used to like that wafer.
I'm conscious I might lose a lot of listeners, and particularly anybody in the US, with this question, but where do you stand on the blue ribbon?
Where do I stand on the blue ribbon?
Blue ribbon, yeah. You know, do you remember the chocolate bar, blue ribbon? It was a wafer with chocolate on.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I've really had one of those.
Oh, hey. I don't know if they still make them, but if they do, I think you'd probably really like them.
Oh, okay. I'm going to see if I can get one.
Yeah, do. They're good. What do you do to let off steam?
Get out of the studio, you know, maybe punch some bags.
Oh, do you box?
Sometimes, like at the gym, do a bit of boxing, or kick something. Do a blaze class. That's quite fun.
Okay, what's blaze?
It's like a really intense class where you you have to run on the machine, and you got to like lift some weights, and you got to punch the bag, and you keep doing it so you pass out. But it's only half an hour.
Okay, that sounds good. Good way to blow off some steam.
I've got a dog as well, so Frank the greyhound is always good antidote for stress, I think.
I think nature, communing with nature in some way is always good stress relief.
It's always better, yeah.
Yeah.
Get out, yeah.
Nice. What's a little known fact about Ruth Barrett?
Oh, God. I used to like karate.
You used to like karate?
Well, yeah, before I had kids, I was into karate. So I would definitely be a black belt if I hadn't had kids. I blame it on them. I got to about orange belt, but I did win a gold medal in a tournament once, in a karate tournament. I actually did punch someone in the face by mistake, but I still got my medal.
Wow. Okay.
It was the 18 to 32 category, and I was 32 and she was 18.
Right. Oh, so you're beating up children, essentially.
But I got a gold medal.
Well, exactly. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. Amazing.
But yeah, I like karate because it's kind of, it's violent, but it's also zen, which I think in this business, you got to have a bit of both.
Interesting. So embracing both the sort of...
Yeah, you've got to be willing to kick some ass, right? But you've also got to be quite kind of at one with yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's good. Wise words. What scares you?
Oh, it's a hard one, isn't it? Lots of things, but probably being judged by others, or that kind of fear of rejection, maybe. It's like, when you're presenting work for the first time, that can be scary. And just, sometimes wanting to be part of your gang, it's, where are you in the league? You know what I mean? And I think it's something probably lots of people feel a bit like that. And it's something I think you got to get over. Definitely something I've been thinking about.
But you still get nervous when presenting new work to a new client?
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, but then I think that's a good thing too, because obviously, you can't go into it not caring. So the fear helps make things better. And then if they don't like it, you feel pretty shit. But then you well, that's something you've got to learn in this job, isn't it? Not to have an ego. But, well, it's to have an ego because you want to present your ideas and be really, come from the heart, and you've got to have a heart. At the same time, it's a collaborative world, isn't it? So you've got to be willing to ditch that.
Well, and I think that was a huge help for me. When you think of it as like, it's not my role to just produce the gold immediately and there we go. It is a collaboration. It's going to be backwards and forwards, different ideas. And I feel when I sort of understood that intellectually, but really that actually it makes the creative process a bit easier because you stop putting this immense amount of pressure on yourself, and the idea that, okay, this is a process that we're going to be working together on this for a period of time, that's, I found that hugely helpful.
Exactly. And even if that first idea was rejected, the passion in it may lead you to something else, and that commitment to the idea and the thought process that went along with it. It's like it's just around, or it's necessary to go down there, try it out, then throw it away, then And actually, when you're working with the team and they trust you, it's that trust. That's what you've got to gain, is something special then, because you're allowed to play around. Not too much, obviously. I feel like in the film world, it's not that as much.
But then also you were talking earlier about the collaborative relationship with some of the people you're working with, and actually just trying out crazy offbeat ideas, because that's sometimes magic happens there. And that's where, obviously people might hear it go, oh God, what's that? I don't like that. But at the same time, at least if you can try it, and if it doesn't work, then fine. But at the same time, if you stumble across something unique and very different, then I think there's a lot of merit to be had in that. Yeah,
I don't want them to hold back. I mean, sometimes there's a time put the toys away now. We've got this could be delivered in 2 hours. Just get this done, But if you allow yourself a little bit of time to play, then I think that's very fruitful.
It helps you not get sort of stuck in. I think I was interviewing Chad Golster, who's the editor for Yellowstone, does a lot of Taylor Sheridan stuff, and he was saying that he has the ability to be able to do something a little bit crazy with the edit and then present it, and he knows that quite often Taylor will go for it, but sometimes will reject it. But it just allows him to just be a little bit creative and not settle into the sort of same patterns and routines season upon season.
Yes, you're trying to shake that up, because I think ultimately as musicians we do tend to rely on certain shapes and patterns. So that's why it's nice to work with other people, and then you sort of put it through your own filter and think, well, which bit of that just goes with it. So I think that's often part of the job, is editing things together, and it's creating a tapestry from all of this stuff. But it's knowing which ingredients you want to put in it. That's part of the job. It's definitely not for me sitting with a quill and a manuscript.
Which is
romantic as that sounds.
Is that what Cambridge University led you to believe would have been the case?
I think so, yeah.
And finally, Ruth, what piece of advice would you give to your younger self?
I'd probably, say, be a bit braver with it all. I mean, I think I was pretty brave about going out and getting different jobs, and I don't sort of diss myself for that. But the working with musicians thing, that was a really good thing. I would have done more of that early on, and not be so scared. You know what I mean? Get over that fear of what people might think about it or how they would judge it, and just really sort of keep going and hone all of that even more. Yeah, I feel like it's a convoluted road, isn't it, to where you want to get to, and each person has a different journey.
Very much so, very much so. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat, Ruth. It's been a genuine...
I really enjoyed chatting to you.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Really fun.
Where can people, obviously, streaming platforms, all of your work is on streaming platforms, and I definitely recommend having a listen to the Girlfriend soundtrack, because I love it. It's brilliant. It's crazy and beautiful in equal measure.
Thank you.
But where do you social? Do you your website?
Occasionally when I get over myself, I'll put something on Instagram. Not really the X thing very much.
The Twitter. Some people, lovely Sanditon fans, use it, so I'll put things on there occasionally. But yeah, Instagram and your website. I will link to both in the show notes so people can find you. But what are you working on at the moment? Anything you can tell us about?
Well, it's continuing the Chris Pratt, James Reese saga.
So season 2.
Season 2 is underway, yeah.
Wow, exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Good luck with it all, and look forward to hearing it.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you very much for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, and given that you've listened this far, I feel you might have, then I would be honoured and incredibly grateful if you could take a moment to subscribe, rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. By subscribing, you'll automatically be notified each time a new episode drops, and by rating the show, you tell the artificial intelligence that will soon be running the world that this podcast is worth listening to. I certainly get a lot of insights and value from these conversations, and I genuinely hope you do too. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, then you can email me, podcast@larpmusic.com. Larpmusic.com is my digital abode, and the home of the podcast is larpmusic.com/Sync Music Matters Podcast. And Sync Music Matters Podcast is hyphenated. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.